Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to my cousins around the world. In the 4 years that I've been making content, the last thing that I expected was to be researching whether or not America plans to be sending a billion condoms to Gaza. This claim sent the media into a frenzy, so today we'll be taking a closer look at that, as well as how America's First Lady Melania seemingly ticked off the fashion overlords over at Vogue. Our goofy of the day is the offspring that Ariana Grande never asked for and refuses to take custody of, and we have a very special guest joining us today, none other than the CEO of PragerU, to discuss some of the recent hit pieces against PragerU and discussing all the importance of media literacy. So be sure to comment, like, share, subscribe. Welcome to Respectfully Xavier. Now, we are all cousins here, so I'm going to be 100% transparent with y'all. After being in Tulum, Mexico, Washington, D.C. during inauguration weekend, and in Utah for Sundance Film Festival, I caught a bug in all three cities, and I swear all three of them are in cahoots trying to take me down. But you know what? We are here. I thought about it. I'm like, 50 Cent got shot 9 times, and he is still walking around. So I can be here for this show, even though I'm going straight to urgent care after, and I'm not kidding. But anyways, we're about to have a great show today. We have so many funny things to get into, or I shouldn't say all funny, but let's just say fun. But starting off, the first thing is just pretty crazy, I should say. I asked you guys on Instagram yesterday what you guys would like me to talk about, and somehow I didn't see this story initially when it was breaking just a couple days ago, but then I saw everyone was asking me to talk about the condoms being sent to Gaza, and I thought that this was some kind of joke that I was not in on or something, and then realized, oh no, it is very serious. So, come to find out, Caroline Leavitt, our new press secretary of the United States, went and had this to say at one of her first press conferences.
Just during this pause, Doge and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
$50 million in condoms is insane. Because first of all, if you live in Gaza right now, the last thing you need to be worried about is having kids or even just the action of getting to them kids. Your education system is as broken as Cardi B's English. So really, I just felt like that shouldn't be priority number one, because why, of all the things that people could potentially need in Gaza right now, why would condoms be the first priority? So the more I looked into this situation, the more I was confused by the situation. But one thing that is clear and for certain is that Hamas, like many other things over in Gaza, will use anything to turn into a weapon or to a bomb against Israel. So what I saw is that starting back in 2018, they have been using condoms, kites, birthday balloons, etc. to turn those into just weapons and different kinds of devices where they're now floating these bombs over to Israel using the wind or whatever else to attack the Jewish people. So these people are just insane. And, you know, it's not far-fetched to think that we would be funding this, because I keep thinking to myself, why are we funding both sides of the war? But we'll get more into that. Like, literally, my tax dollars are somehow going to defending Israel, but somehow my tax dollars are also being used to attack Israel. It's getting really, really confusing at this point. But I was looking into this story and the $50 million, and I was curious, what is going on here? Is there more information to it? So I saw that The Independent said this: Trump and his spokesperson appeared to be referring to a grant or grants that U.S. aid awarded to a group group called the International Medical Corps with $102 million to provide medical and trauma services to Gaza. The State Department earlier Wednesday described this as an example of egregious funding and not aligned with American interests or the president's policies. Yeah, I think that is egregious. I mean, no matter what the money is going towards, I really don't understand why we're sending $102 million over to Gaza. I think it's pretty clear that America stands with Israel. It's also abundantly clear why America stands with Israel. They are our most consequential ally. And I understand America wants to be this, beacon of light in the world, but I just feel like at a certain point we have to pick a side. But what made this all so much more confusing to me is I just wanted to make sure that this information was being fact checked. Because $50 million to buy condoms is a pretty bold claim. And it's hard to see whether or not it's hard to know sometimes what is the truth and what is an exaggeration sometimes in today's media. So that's what I've been looking more into. And what's interesting is I saw that the International Medical Corps posted a statement on its website saying that no U.S. government funding was used to procure or distribute condoms. And what they also go on to say is how funding for trauma centers and to send doctors, water, sanitation, and hygiene services, as well as prenatal and postnatal care, is not out of the ordinary for America. So I take this with a grain of salt because while they are saying that there isn't money being directly sent to buy condoms, at the same time, what we have seen time and time again is that when money is sent over to Gaza for humanitarian efforts, it ends up being used to create weapons, to attack Israel, and to attack ultimately the Jewish people. So I don't really know what to believe in this situation. It's hard to see. And there's sometimes going to be information that we're not privy to in the public eye, but there is a lot of people debating whether or not this $50 million claim is valid. And I guess time is going to tell with some of that. But something else that I just thought was weird is it normal for America to be sending prenatal and postnatal care overseas? Because that to me just seems weird, but I did more research into it and seems that it is not untraditional to send reproductive and contraceptive resources overseas, particularly to Africa. And we have spent a lot of money sending condoms overseas, which again, I just think it's very weird. America's economy is in shambles, but we're worried about the contraceptive efforts of people overseas. That to me is bizarre. And where this billion condoms numbers comes from is when you look at the research of when there are packages of condoms sent, not for commercial reasons, but for, humanitarian reasons, it's typically a ratio of 5 cents per condom. So if we're sending this $50 million worth of condoms, that's about a billion condoms. So that is very bizarre to me, but I believe the truth is somewhere in the middle potentially. I think 50 million is a stretch. Again, I don't know where that number comes from exactly. I don't know if anyone knows where that number comes from exactly besides the White House administration. But whether it's $500,000 going towards buying condoms for people in Gaza or $50 million, I'm not here to try to fund the Planned Parenthood terrorism camps overseas, considering that I'm still hoping that America defunds our own Planned Parenthood. But, it's just weird. It just shows how weird American priorities are when it comes to our finances. So to get into just some of my conclusions about this whole situation, since everyone was asking me about this, again, it's hard to say because with all the bureaucratic complexities that we see in America, we don't really know what the accurate numbers are, because with Gaza particularly and with Hamas particularly, we could try to have this role of being the global referee and trying to send them resources and water and the different things that they need, but we can't guarantee what they're going to actually spend that money on. And what seems to be clear from all these different sources and these different agencies and these third-party agencies that are involved with the transfer of those funds, it does seem that there is money being sent over to Gaza, which is clear and obvious, but what that's going to, we don't really know. We have to remember that Hamas is the same group of people that are so particularly savvy at snatching these funds from humanitarian efforts that they're desperate enough to take their own water pipes and turn those into bombs and missiles. I think a lot of people just forget conveniently about what Hamas is willing to do with even in the most desperate times. The people that are complaining about not having water are not looking at their own leadership and questioning, Why did you take our water pipes and turn them into missiles and bombs? But that's just how these musty terrorists operate. So I really don't want to understand the mindset of those people, because the last thing I want to do is relate to a musty terrorist, respectfully. So as I also want to say, though, as we look at these stories, I do hope that the Trump administration and pretty much anybody that is in the media space in any capacity, whether it's political or educational, that we're being careful when we say these bold claims, because $50 million for condoms is crazy. It might be crazy and true. I don't know. But I just want to put out a reminder that the source of information cannot simply be the first person to say that information. And we just barely by the skin of our teeth have won back culture. So we do not want to screw that up by making too bold of claims or sharing articles and videos that we can't also share the concrete proof of. Again, the concrete proof might be out there. It likely is out there. It's just, as of now, it's very, very difficult to find, and I have not seen it anywhere. So moving along, I want to talk about Melania Trump. So her official White House First Lady portrait has been announced and showcased to the world. Can we pull that up? This beautiful photo of Melania Trump serving looks. Again, I have been saying this for so long. It is long overdue for her to get her fashion icon flowers. Now, what many people have questioned for quite some time is why Vogue has never showcased Melania. Melania was the first lady in a while to not have her own cover story and profile over on Vogue. And Vogue has some very nasty things to say about Melania in this official first lady portrait. Let's go ahead and play this clip from Fox News.
Vogue is very disdainful. They don't like this photo at all. The fashion magazine wrote in this scathing review, the choice to wear a tuxedo as opposed to a blazer or blouse made Trump look like a freelance magician rather than a public servant. It perhaps is unsurprising that a woman who lived in a gold-encrusted penthouse whose fame is intertwined with reality TV empire would refuse to abandon theatrics even when faced with 248 years of tradition. It is a far cry from the Jill Biden one where they said, like, a first lady for all of us back in 2021.
So many things to say about this. First of all, that claim doesn't even make sense. What does Melania wearing a tuxedo have to do with making Trump look bad or like a freelance magician? Like, that is just such a stretch. Like, that is like someone went into ChatGPT and just asked for a random insult to attack Trump and Melania because of this photo. It just makes no sense. And the way that these people to this day give Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, all of these different flowers and acting like she is this beacon of light. What has she done to deserve that, particularly in the world of fashion? This woman is always looking a mess. And I don't know if it's because I'm comparing her to Melania, even if I compare her to Michelle Obama, because Michelle Obama, jump scare. Michelle Obama was even serving looks objectively. So when I look at Jill Biden, I'm like, okay, so she got to be on the Vogue cover. Never once have they insulted anything that she's worn with those tired little those little hootenanny dresses on. But Melania, the fashion icon she is, never gets her flowers from Vogue or from any of these major fashion outlets. And what's also weird to me is how they're hating on her for wearing a tuxedo. I honestly thought, if anything, Vogue would love this, since they're always saying that they love strong women. Why are they suddenly hating on a woman wearing a tuxedo? Like, to me, this photo of Melania, it just embodied strength. It embodies someone who's ready to stand on business. It's very much giving, yes, the president, her husband is powerful, but she is a woman of strength too. She is here to get things done. Melania is not here to mess around. I really think people underestimate the type of the powerful woman that Melania Trump is, and really how intelligent she is too. People write her off as this like random model, as if she doesn't have anything important or substantial to say. It's like, have we forgotten that this woman speaks 6 different languages and that this woman is a successful, accomplished businesswoman in her own right? So it's very, very bizarre and strange to me to see that they are now attacking Melania for embodying all the strength that she has within her and that she has always showcased to the world. And I think she's just going to continue to prove her naysayers wrong. Something else I thought was super petty was that a lot of people, especially on this shit, you can always see a litmus test of how doomed our culture is by going to the comment section on the Shade Room. In the Shade Room, they were comparing Melania Trump in this photo, saying that she looks like Caitlyn Jenner and saying that she looked too masculine and that she looked terrible. It's like, oh, I just find it funny how you're now using Caitlyn Jenner's appearance as an insult. Back before Caitlyn Jenner, tried to run in politics as a Republican, everybody was talking about how beautiful and strong of a woman Caitlyn Jenner is. And then also, every single time a woman gets told that she looks like a trans woman, you see the left online talking about, well, oh, that's because trans women are so beautiful. Trans women are so pretty. Trans women are the standard. They set the culture. They set the pace. Biological cis women are just jealous of trans women. Please. That's like when a fat woman gets told that she looks like Lizzo. All of a sudden, that's an insult. I thought Lizzo was beautiful. If Lizzo is so beautiful, then why when someone says you look like Lizzo, does everybody get offended? Explain that. But Melania does not care, and she has never cared. I found this old quote of hers that literally made my day. I'm actually sick to my stomach that I had not heard this clip before, but the audio's kind of muffled, so I'm just going to read basically what she said to you. She says, because she was asked by Vogue if she wanted to do a profile, and they said that it might be a cover. Not that it will for sure be a cover story, but that it might be a cover. So Melania says, it might be a cover. I don't give a F about Vogue or any magazine. Another photo shoot? Go to Getty Images and get the pictures and you will see me. Y'all better stop playing with my first lady. I need to come up with an ethnic name for Melania because she has the sass of a black woman. Let me find out I'm sleeping on the sassiness of Eastern European women because I call Donald Trump Donald Jaquan Trump and JD Vance Jadarius Vance. At this point, I need some kind of ethnic name for Melania because she is very much giving big sis energy and I'm loving it. But she does not care. She does not need Vogue. She does not need any of these fashion brands that want to dress her before. Now that conservatives have won back culture, I respect that Melania's like, I don't mess with any of y'all because I never needed any of you. She is staying loyal to the outlets and the magazines and the fashion brands that were willing to work with her and stood by her, even when it wasn't cool or popular to stand by conservatives. So Melania, you continue to earn my respect, and I hope you're having a great day today because it's what you deserve. Now, speaking of Getty Images, I always say, one thing about Getty, you will learn the truth about what somebody actually looks like. Getty Images will show you the most raw, unfiltered, uncut versions of what somebody in any of these public figures actually look like. And that is leading to our Goofy of the Day, which I just want to say, I'm so grateful for the Goofy of the Day segment because it really gives me an opportunity to shed full light on the clownery that we witness in our society today. And our inaugural Goofy of the Day was none other than Ariana Grande. And just to show how iconic her goofiness is, the new Goofy of the Day is actually one of her unwanted offspring, dare I say, her very own impersonator. Give it up for Goofy of the Day, Paige Neiman. Neiman, I don't really know how to say it. I really don't care. I just know that this woman is crazy and as goofy as she possibly can be. So I want to show you guys, this is what Paige Neiman looks like. Now, if you didn't know any better, at first glimpse, you would have thought this was Ariana Grande going through some stress. Like, this looks like Ariana Grande got stung by a bee or was having like an allergic reaction or something. But this girl is actually very, very creepy. It makes me aggressively uncomfortable to the point that I am on Ariana Grande's side and not liking this woman. So her background, since 2016, Paige Neiman, she has built a following of over 10.3 million TikTok followers. She has a big following on Instagram as well, where she is not just like doing makeup to emulate what Ariana Grande looks like. She is straight up impersonating this woman. Like, she is going out of her way, making a conscious effort every day when she wakes up of how do I look like Ariana Grande? How do I mimic her gestures? How do I mimic her style? How do I sound like her? She even like tries to laugh and do like just these facial expressions that Ariana Grande does. And it gets even weirder because she even gets into the characters that Ariana does. But the thing is, first of all, it is sad because Paige is a beautiful woman in her own right. Let's show this video of her before and after her makeup transformations. Do we have that? So this is her normally. Beautiful girl, could be an influencer. Outside of trying to be Ariana Grande. If you did not tell me otherwise, like, I would be fully convinced that that was Ariana Grande on the other side of that wall, child. It is weird, but she gets weirder and weirder because now it has, again, it's not just her impersonating Ariana Grande, but also the characters. So now we know Ariana Grande, she's back to being a white woman because, you know, she was in her Africana Grande black girl era, like what we saw in that clip before. But now she's being a white woman. She's being Glinda, and in the movie Wicked, which I finally just watched. Not gonna lie, I'm not a musical person, but Wicked kind of ate. I was into it. The actors are also really cringe in person, but it was a very good movie, so I'll give them their credit for that. But here is Paige mimicking Ariana's character, Glinda, from Wicked. Personally, I would be suing. But yes, so here is Paige being Glinda, just like she was Kat Valentine from Ariana's show Victorious back in the day. And this woman just continues to double and triple and quadruple down on trying to be this Ariana Grande impersonator. And if we look at a side-by-side of her portraying as Glinda versus Ariana Grande back in her white woman era, this, to me, this looks like when you have on one of those Snapchat filters and you move too quickly and then it reveals what you actually look like. Like, you can tell she is forcing that dimple. She looks like she is in pain the way she's trying so desperately to mimic Ariana Grande's facial expressions. She even has like the eyebrow thing that Ariana Grande has, because Ariana Grande is a very quirky person when it comes to just her mannerisms and gestures. The little thing she does with her eyebrows like come in like this. Like, I've never seen anybody else have that until Ariana Grande, and now Paige trying to be Ariana Grande. And this has been going on for a very long time. If we can just play a quick snippet of when she was a teenager, when this very first started,
hey guys,
her obsession.
I'm going to be doing a room tour, and the reason why I named this video an Ariana Grande room tour is because my whole room is pretty much Ariana Grande, and I'm so sorry I haven't like posted in like 3 months, but I'm gonna upload a video.
That's enough, because I'm uncomfortable. So again, that back then, that was innocent. That was cute. That was a teenage girl who got told by one person that they looked like Ariana Grande, and then she just ran with it and made it her whole personality. But now that Paige is a grown woman, still cosplaying Ariana, making her entire life being based on cosplaying her, it's very, very, very bizarre. And what's also, I have to show one more clip of this. This is actually how I found out about Paige, is this video of her on the runway trying to be Ariana Grande, or like mimic the quirky vibe that she thinks Ariana has. Can we play this runway video of her? Because I need you guys to get the full picture of how weird this girl is. Just so frumpy. Like, no grace, no elegance, no nothing. No, nothing. And you know what this really is just a sign of the times of how bad obsession with celebrities has gotten, how desperate clout chasing has become, where this woman has built an entire lifestyle and career off of imitating Ariana Grande. And the whole reason that she is the goofy of the day today is because these pictures that we're showing are her Getty images, because Getty never lies. And this girl Paige, she was posting how this was her first red carpet moment, and you get to see, like, without the extra filters and editing, like, this girl looks so uncomfortable. Like, she looks like she is in pain, and there's been allegations for months and months, or not months, years and years now, that she's been getting procedures and work done to continue looking like Ariana. And I believe it 100%, because she does not look like what she used to look like. I mean, neither does Ariana Grande, but a lot of that is just style. I don't know what work Ariana may or may not have had done, but the people alleging that Paige has had work to look like Ariana, it's sad. it's sad because as Ariana's looks change, you cannot undo the work that you're getting done, Paige. So at some point, you're going to run into a brick wall. It's kind of similar to all the people who went and ran and got these surgeries that Kim Kardashian and Khloe Kardashian and Nicki Minaj were having with getting their butts done and getting these BBLs and a bunch of basically cement shoved into their thighs. And then when all of these women are suddenly like, okay, this is not the style anymore. We no longer want to have these ridiculous body shapes anymore. We're going to undo some of these fillers and some of these just like cosmetic procedures. It's easier for them to do it because they went to very expensive doctors and had it done in a way that it was removable to begin with. But these girls who are going down to Colombia to get these cheap surgeries so that they can look like Ariana Grande or be built like Kim Kardashian, you are going to end up in a brick wall. And I hope you guys are able to learn from this. Now, what makes Paige even more sinister, what makes it to a point where it becomes, I shouldn't say personal for me, but it does really bother me because it starts with Ariana Grande and it continues to go to more people. Ariana Grande, it does not like this woman, largely because not only the impersonation, but Paige has went as far as making an OnlyFans where she cosplays as Ariana Grande and does adult content. So that should be illegal. At what point does legislation or just the law come and enforce that you cannot impersonate somebody and then go and make adult content? Like I'm sure I want to know what you guys think of that. Am I overstepping, or do you think that it should be illegal for you to be clearly impersonating somebody while making adult content? Because that's a horrible look for Ariana. A lot of those pictures and videos, in fact, one of the producers for the show, when I asked him to pull up a photo of Paige, he literally pulled up a picture of Ariana Grande because they look so similar, because Paige's entire life, again, is to look like her. So to do that and then go and pose nude or do whatever she's doing on her OnlyFans, because God knows what's on there, that to me should be illegal and should be banned, just like the people who are now making these AI accounts to make fake pornography to portray these different celebrities and public figures who clearly don't want to be seen nude. If they don't want to be seen nude, then you need to respect that and don't go and make a fake digital version of them. I hope Ariana Grande is able to send a cease and desist one day. I know Paige's got banned for like 2 months, probably because Ariana Grande shut that down, but she did end up coming back. But Paige, you are the goofy of the day, and I hope you learn to find some sense of self-worth. Moving on along, on a positive note, Happy Chinese New Year. So if you can't tell by looking at me, I'm 2% Chinese, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of my Asian heritage because I want to talk about just Chinese excellence, because Asian people deserve more respect, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased because I'm part Asian. I'm saying that because it is an objective truth that Asians are often excluded from minority conversations. So when people talk about all the justice that minority groups deserve, they always count Asians out. Or when they're talking about the negative things that happen to minorities, they don't want to talk about Asians. And I find that interesting. And the reason for that is because Asian people pretty much stomp out majority of the stereotypes and narratives that people try to portray about people of color. So when people try to say that, like, oh, if you're a minority, you are so oppressed in America, Asian people do not allow that to be the case, because we have no choice but to be elite. As Asians, we on the SAT, for example, the quintessential test that you need to take to get into most universities today, if you're Asian, you have to score 140 points higher on average than white people, 270 points higher than Hispanic people, and 450 points higher than black people on average to get into the exact same university programs. So when I say Asians don't have a choice but to be elite, it's like if you're an average level Asian, like just an average level American student, you are not going to be able to get into these same colleges and universities that your American peers are able to, because the system is working against you. So if you want to talk about systemic oppression, I feel like Asians have a real case to push, but they don't sit around and complain. They just go and get work done. Asians are the wealthiest group because we don't sit around waiting for a hand stand out. We don't sit around complaining about the injustices of the past. We're out there handling business. We have the lowest crime rate. Why? Because we know how to act. We focus on family values. We focus on virtues, and we focus on what is actually going to lead for the betterment of our family, let alone society, unlike a lot of these other cultures which don't have that to their credit. And Asians have the lowest unemployment rate. Why is that? Because they get up and they go to work. They work. We Asians work. So when I see all the different things of, oh, if you're a minority, it's harder for you to get a job without DEI, or systemic oppression is keeping us broke. No, you're keeping yourself broke. Your culture is keeping yourself broke. And your culture is keeping a lot of you fat. Okay? Because if we're going to talk about these diets, talking about the black diet, no shade to my father, but I remember one day I was hanging out with him and I told him, I was like, can I cook something healthy for you just so you can try? Because mind you, my dad's had like 2 heart attacks and gave himself diabetes, all of that. And I'm like, I want to make something healthy for you to see that you can have healthy food and it can taste good. He looked me directly in my eye and said, no, I want my ghetto cooking, and proceeded to fry a pork chop. It's like, this is why black people are big backed and obese. Okay. And that's how I know my 2% Asian must be from my mom's side, because my mom is down for a healthy meal. But on the black side, it's like the obesity rates are out of control in a lot of different communities, especially the black community. But Asians don't have that problem because they understand the importance of eating a clean diet, eating rice, eating fish, eating things that are actually going to give you vitamins and nutrients, because they honor their bodies, they honor their families by living a life that makes sense. I love Asians. I love to be Asians. When we talk about honor and pride, particularly when we talk about pride, it has to do with, taking pride in oneself and taking pride in all the great things that we're able to do as free Americans here, as Asian Americans. Not the pride that you see in West Hollywood, where you see grown men pegging each other on the sidewalk. Can I say that on YouTube? Well, I did. It's live. So when we talk about the pride that Asians have, you don't see a lot of Asians participating in that craziness in WeHo. Because June is right around the corner, and I guarantee you, if there's one demographic that is looking at it like this is crazy, it is the Asian people, but they're not going to say anything because they mind their business. So that being said, when Asians actually do talk about some of the things that are unfair against them, I think that they're actually worth listening to, because Asians don't play the victim. And when they do have, a social justice cause, for example, the Stop Asian Hate movement, I actually understand that some of this is real, because I will say, while the Stop Asian Hate movement got tied into the whole BLM umbrella, unfortunately, and I really don't think that it should have in retrospect, because post-coronavirus, the Chinese flu, a lot of people blamed every single Asian for that, knowing good and well this was made in some Chinese lab in Wuhan, allegedly, because, I don't want YouTube to clock me. But, I think it was really unfair how just regular Asian people walking down the street were getting blamed for some of that. And I know a lot of people who say that they never heard or witnessed that. I do know, living in the San Francisco Bay Area, which has a very large Asian population, I was hearing about that kind of a lot. Like, it was a decent amount of allegations that I heard of people saying that Asian people were just randomly having cruel things said to them. Or I know in New York, a lot of random Asian people were just being attacked because of coronavirus. And I want to say I'm sorry to my fellow Asians that you had to endure that. Luckily, I'm, non-Asian passing. So although I am Asian, not everybody can tell when they first look at me, which is crazy because I think my eyes show it. I think my eyes are giving almond a little bit, but it is a serious thing that Asians deserve to be heard out when they do speak up against some of the racism that's happening against them. And when we talk about like the China Communist Party and just all the bad things that are coming out of there, the biggest victims of the CCP are actual Chinese people. I think a lot of people forget that in China, the number one people dealing with all the negative things that are coming from China as an enemy, the main people dealing with that on a daily basis are people in China. They're dealing with the censorship more than anybody. We talk about how TikTok censors us here in America. It's like, imagine what the censorship is like when you actually live in China. They don't even have normal TikTok. They have some app called Do Young because they're not even allowed to see what we see here. When we talk about the human rights abuses that happens over there, when we talk about the child the child labor violations that are happening over there. And we are all afraid of the social credit scores coming to America. Well, guess who's already dealing with this social credit score system? The innocent people over in China. They're being economically exploited. Their children are being exploited. And politically, they are just as doomed as they possibly can be. And I think that when we do have conversations about, all the corruption that is coming from places like this, or from entities like the CCP, I think it's very important that we distinguish a difference between the Chinese people and the China Communist Party. So now coming up, I want to bring in the CEO of PragerU, Marissa Streit, because Daily Beast is out of control. They wrote 3 insane articles, 3 hit pieces in one day to try to bring down PragerU. And when it comes to just understanding the truth and what's really happening in our country, we need to be able to distinguish what is a lie, what is accurate, and what is just not even worth our time. So to discuss media literacy, here is Marissa Streit. Joining me now is the CEO of PragerU herself, Marissa Streit. How are you, Marissa?
I'm good. So good to be here. So proud of you.
Oh, thank you. It's been quite the journey. And, it's so funny seeing along this journey. I started at PragerU Kids being our digital marketing manager. And I have to say, of all the baseless attacks that we get at PragerU Kids tends to be the focal point. And every time they can't get us on anything there, we end up with a pile of hit pieces like we have on the table right now of people trying to slander us and having no substance to it. So I'm glad you're here so we can really break this down today.
I was worried that there's not going to be that much to laugh at anymore now that the elections are over and the left is not necessarily in power, but somehow they just continue to make absolute ridiculous accusations. And so this is about to be funny and educational too.
Certainly will be, because, we need to get more people to be literate when it comes to the media and the press, particularly because people will see these articles, they'll see these headlines and just run with them without looking into the substance of what is actually in the article or the lack of substance that's actually in the article. So I want to start with this one here. From the Daily Beast, saying that the conservative crusader played a secret role in spread of anti-woke schooling. So
secret role, right? Like there's so nothing secretive about PragerU Kids. In fact, we wanted to make it the opposite of a secret, right? Our entire intention is to produce content and make sure that people are aware of it, as many people as possible are aware of it. And so the fact that they think that there's anything nefarious or secretive about this is so absurd. They just do such junk journalism. They just don't do their homework. This is going to get real.
Walk me through the insanity of this, because I read this article, this hit piece from Daily Beast, trying to make it seem like we had these secret alliances and coordinated efforts in order to get PragerU into South Carolina schools. And what was so funny to me is as I was reading through it, I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this information? What is actually happening here?
Okay, so here's what I think the Daily Beast was trying to do. They were trying to write a hit piece on us at all costs. And so they were looking, right? They need content. They need whatever it is that they can post. And so they will even pay for junk journalism. By the way, I looked it up. It's about $250 an article. So if it looks low end, it's because it's low end. Okay. I'm not sure that anybody would pay even $20 for this, but here's what they were trying to do. So they're trying to allege that we had a partnership for our PragerU in schools in Oklahoma through Superintendent Ryan Walters, who endorsed our content for Oklahoma. The allegation is that Ryan Walters introduced us to the superintendent of South Carolina, Ellen Weaver. I don't even know why that would even be an allegation, because even if they did, there's no issue if 2 educators or 2 superintendents talk about content and share good practices, right? Actually, you would hope that superintendents would do that. But it just happened to be that there was no story there because it wasn't Ryan Walters who introduced us to Ellen Weaver. It was actually one of the families that we knew in the Carolinas who felt very passionate about PragerU in schools and introduced us to Superintendent Ellen Weaver and encouraged her to meet with us and offer our free content to parents and educators if they'd like to use PragerU in schools. But I don't know, this bored, desperate journalist who apparently lives in Berlin, and so for some reason he's so passionate about our education system here in America, decided to find something to attack us on, and he couldn't. And so he made a story out of nothing. And I think it's classic media literacy, because really all that matters to anybody is probably the headline. And the headline is just totally made up about some sort of secret, nefarious agenda that the superintendents are conspiring with PragerU to make free content, free patriotic content to young Americans. And so we landed with this piece of garbage that you're holding in your hand.
This $250 piece of garbage, mind you.
It cost them way more than what it's worth.
You know, it's just funny to me because even if Ryan Walters was the one that made the introduction, since when is networking illegal? Like, if that was the story here that, oh my gosh, like he had the audacity to connect us with someone, that's still not a story. Like, that's how desperate these people are to try to pull something out of nothing. And then you even have this like South Carolina official saying how he is literally sick to his stomach. It's like, watching Cash Course? Like, did watching our videos about financial literacy for teenagers make you that unwell? It's just so funny to me.
So I don't know, this adult saying he's literally sick to his stomach because PragerU is in schools. Does he know what literally actually means? Like, I think even he doesn't fit in the percentage of qualified kids who can pass an 8th grade literacy test, because literally means that he is actually literally sick. Right. So it's just, you know what, all jokes aside, it is pathetic. And what is so pathetic about it is that I think the author himself realized that he had nothing to attack us on, but he so desperately needed to make the $250 or whatever it is that he got paid that he just kept searching and searching to write something negative about PragerU, which landed him in the next most ridiculous article I've read in probably my entire career.
So not only did he make his $250 from this ridiculous article,
Ching.
we now have the next in our pile of hit pieces from this same journalist, Sean Craig, where he says climate deniers chase out of LA headquarters by wildfires while still blaming blazes on environmental regulations. Interesting. So what is happening in this second piece here?
Okay, so aside from the second cha-ching, not a lot of money, but still a way to like just profit off of hating on us. So let me explain what happened. So they wrote us a request for a response for the original article about the superintendents of education and the supposed secretive, nefarious agenda of educators sharing best practices, right? He couldn't find anything, but during that same day was the day that fires were raging here in Los Angeles, California. And, you know, many of our employees were evacuated from their homes that day because we have team members that live all over the city. And so I received this email, and actually I just want to be very accurate about this because unlike them, we are hold to scrutiny. And so I'll tell you, this was on Thursday, January 9th. We received an email around 12 p.m. saying that we need to respond to their question about the South Carolina partnership by the end of the day. Okay, so I have most of our team members figuring out what's going to happen with their homes. And it is not exactly the first thing on my agenda when I'm dealing with the safety of our team members and our headquarters. And so we responded to them and said, we're sorry, but we cannot meet this deadline. We need a few days. We have to deal with our offices and the fires that are raging in Los Angeles, not knowing how far it's going to go. And so this pathetic, I will have to say, this pathetic junk journalist decided to turn that into a hit piece. Okay? And so what is the hit piece now? The hit piece is that while we told him that we can't respond right away because of the wildfires, we were still able to post a video on social media at the same time. How dare we? How dare we have our offices shut down and still have one of our team members post a video that was made several years prior on social media? And so, again, it goes to show that this is just absolute junk journalism. And the reason I wanted us to talk about this is because we need Americans to be media literate. When we talk about media literacy and how we've been fooled and we've been attacked, people need to learn how to read between the lines here and realize how absurd, ridiculous at best, but actually quite mean when it comes to trying to attack us. And so the next hit piece, I think you're holding on to it, is one of the most absurd things I've read in my entire life.
Yeah, I'm just so baffled by his lack of understanding of this situation. Because if you're this focused on the education system and everything that's going on in America, then you are aware of these fires and how severe the fires are. So how can you, it's like, there's so many ways to look at this. It's like, how are you mad at PragerU because our offices are closed when majority of our staff live here in Los Angeles?
Well, maybe he doesn't care because he lives in Berlin.
Maybe he just had to get his rent paid, had to get that extra $250. It's just the lack of integrity, the lack of just understanding and empathy. It's like, this person is just vile. Like, this to me is just like cold hearted, but they're not going to get canceled for this. If it was the other way around, if we were putting this extra pressure of, you have this arbitrary deadline of, it doesn't matter if your home is getting burnt down or if you need to go rescue your parents and get them evacuated, we're mad at you because you're not responding timely enough to our email requests.
Can you? This is what he wrote back. Which, when I read this, I asked our team members, "Is this a child writing this?" So this is his response after we said to them that we can't respond right away. I'm also wondering if PragerU has a comment on their offices being closed due to the wildfires, given that they released a video yesterday which denied that the climate change played a role in the current environmental disaster. How dare we be closed and still post a video that was made several years ago? It's just, what a junk journalist. Junk.
And the thing that this article, you actually have to be like subscribed to their website in order to see this. So imagine you're paying your hard-earned dollars to see this type of just
I don't
BS.
know who pays for this stuff. I don't know who does. It's disgusting.
I mean, this is why mainstream media is losing. This is why so many people are going to alternative forms of media, because this is embarrassing. Like, this is just failed journalism. This person should not have a platform to be putting this type of information out there. And if they do, then it shouldn't be read by anyone that actually cares about what's actually happening in the world.
And shame on the Daily Beast for syndicating this guy. Shame on them. They should be held accountable too. And I think this is a new era that we're entering right now. We are going to hold people accountable for the sick and vile things that they do to us. Mm-hmm. This is brain poison. People who are reading this are being lied to. And I say no more of it. I say no more. You don't get to attack us and lie about us and say these vile things and get away with it. We're going to push back. No more of, who cares? Ignore. No, I'm not ignoring. You attack us and you come out with this kind of a vile hit piece on us, we're going to speak out and we're going to defend ourselves. And I think that if the team members felt unsafe or had to deal with their homes while being evacuated, it's okay if they needed to take the day off. I think it's okay. Right. I think most humans will agree. And if this guy just wants to make money off attacking us, then there's going to be a consequence. The Daily Beast should be ashamed, and I think we should call them out on it.
We absolutely should. And, the thing is we are open to constructive criticism or feedback, because everybody always has their 2 cents to put into things that they have nothing to do with. But a story that really just made me respect you so much more, even as a leader, than I already did, is when I first started with PragerU, there was this YouTuber, definitely left-leaning, who had some criticisms to make about a couple of our pieces of curriculum that repeated itself at some point, or there was a typo or two she found. And I went through the video and I watched it and I was like, okay, well, let me go tell Marissa, see what Marissa has to say about it, since a couple people in the kids department asked me if I wanted to make a response. And the first thing you said to me was, do you remember?
Bring her on.
You said, let's offer her a job.
Yes.
Because we were hiring for someone to have that, fine tooth comb mindset that would want to go through every little piece of content like she did, because she clearly spent hours and hours and hours going through our content, trying to find the smallest little things. And instead of giving her a vicious clap back, we offered her a job.
Well, because I think that when people are intellectually honest and truly curious, and their entire agenda is not just to attack us without reading anything or paying attention or just being absolutely mean about it, then I'm with arms wide open. You know, I think that we have a real opportunity to educate people who simply have been uneducated. They have not been privy to much of the truth. And so I'm all about having a conversation. And in fact, when I responded to this supposed junk journalist and at the onset of our exchange, I said to them, let's take this opportunity of the wildfires in California and use it to learn better and to actually engage in scientific debate and understand, why are the fires raging here in California? Is it climate change, or is it because we refuse to clean the brush, or is it are the fires getting out of control because we have an issue with lack of water? And why are the Pacific Palisades reservoirs empty? Is that really a climate change issue?
Right.
And so I actually thought that when the Daily Beast began the exchange, maybe they would actually want to have a real, honest, curious, scientific debate, which means that the science is not settled. But they didn't want any of that. And I think that anybody who does want to come on and really understand how these policies are impacting our lives, how these decisions and ideologies are actually playing into our daily, then I'm all about having a conversation, because I have a lot to learn too. And so I'm not sheltering or shielding myself from the other perspective. The problem is when others do that to us. And I think that's just dishonest. And that is the case of what happened with the Daily Beast. And I think that's the media literacy that I'd like to bring to the public, is that many of these companies, they don't want a free exchange of ideas. They're not seeking the truth. They don't care about the truth. In the case of Ellen Weaver and Ryan Walters, the superintendents who supposedly were conversing when I actually shared with them the truth about how we met the superintendent, they didn't even care. They just moved on to the next hit piece.
Right.
And so they exhibited the behavior of just wanting to attack us. That's a nefarious agenda. If people want to come in and argue with us, well, I think that's actually very healthy.
You know, it just shows that their priority is not to actually uncover the truth. It's to continue to feed a narrative. You know, this guy within this Sean Craig, this journalist from Daily Beast, actually made $750 because his third article from that same day was about CJ Pearson, our friend here at PragerU.
3 articles. This is how he just sits there. You know what I bet he does? He just plugs something into ChatGPT and it spits out some garbage, and then he files the article and makes his little chings.
I believe it. You know, rent must have been due, because we also saw him put together a whole piece about, we talked about earlier in the week, this New York Magazine article about CJ Pearson's party. CJ Pearson, a black man, hosted a party that was deemed as this all white, no blacks allowed party over inauguration weekend. And can we bring up that original, the cover of New York Magazine and how they cropped us out? So you can see how they selectively cropped out multiple black people in this image, and Daily Beast still made an article about the article that tried to call us all white. And instead of, you know, discussing the truth in that Daily Beast article, they just continued with this narrative of, oh, this was just a representation of how white inauguration weekend was.
You know what? They can't get away with this stuff anymore. They are caught red-handed again and again and again, and we will not sit idly by as they lie about us and to the rest of us. That's it.
Well, I appreciate all the effort that you're always putting in, Marissa, to bring back common sense and truth to our society.
And thanks for helping all of us discern.
Doing the best I can. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in to Respectfully. You can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. And also, there's a survey in the description. We want to know what you guys think of the show. Let us know how we can do better, and we'll listen to you.